let me get this straight. Liz Truss is one responsible for the bullshit to do with all that fucking. She's one of the reasons that one of the big reasons that there's so little regulation when it comes to the private water companies in this country. And I wonder how it will be handled by the opposition. Because I hope that's nailed in. That's just disgusting. You know, alongside the shit that's being pumped out into our seas, our rivers and streams. It's just fucking disgusting. And you know, she says the way she talks about our the right are becoming so open and brazen with their disdain for people, for policies that would actually work for the rest of us, not just themselves. Their thoughts around their thoughts around the NHS. It's evidence that the Tories never liked the NHS. They were always against it from its very foundation, and purely because it doesn't bring in because it doesn't bring in the profit that they like. It's not for making, but they wanted, because it's not a profit making machine in the way that they like it to be. That's not what it's for. They don't like it. They've always had a problem with it, and that means that they are against our best interests. But you get idiots that are consistently saying, "Oh no, it's fine." It's not fucking fine. Evidently. I don't. I don't know what more has to happen before people go, why don't we sit? What the fuck are you doing? What? Even the Tory voters, what the fuck are you doing? Here you go. Liz Truss planned to divert NHS billions to social care, like robbing Peter to pay Paul. I mean, it's already been explained at this point, right? That yes, billions have been given to the NHS, but it's not actually going to the NHS. It's not being invested in the NHS. It's going to the private companies that the government have said have to be contracted, that the NHS have to contract out to. And if you think that they actually don't have to, check the regulations yourselves. It's fucking ridiculous. Let's have a look. It's just in the Independent. One Samuel Lovett. Liz Truss is pledged to divert billions of pounds earmarked for the NHS into social care as equivalent to robbing Peter to pay Paul, health experts have said. The Foreign Secretary told a Tory leadership hustings in Birmingham that too much money from the annual £13 billion package was committed to tackling COVID backlogs was going to the NHS. See, she's treating it as if social care is under the NHS, but it actually isn't. It's private. It's private contractors. So it's all based on bullshit. I would spend that money in social care. Quite a lot has gone to the NHS. I would give it to local authorities. $34 hospitals in need of at the very least, roof repair around the country. You know, where you have people in beds in the NHS who would be better off in social care to put that money into social care. Again, look at the. I know. I know. I'm repeating myself. I'm not going to apologise. Look at the. I said about absolutism. Look at the absolutism in the way she says things. I would just, quite a lot of money's gone to the, I'll give it to the local authorities. But where's that going to go from there? So put that money into social care. But if you had social care under the NHS umbrella in the first place, and the NHS was structured properly, then this wouldn't be a problem. Health groups welcomed Mrs. Truss's recognition that the social care sector is underfunded and failing to provide appropriate care for patients, but warned against further cutting already squeezed NHS budgets. Exactly. See, even they're saying don't cut the NHS budgets. You can find it from elsewhere. You stupid jumped up fucking twat. Sorry, that's not what they said, but you know what I mean. Tim Gardner, a senior policy fellow at the Health Foundation, a healthcare charity, said that further investment would ease some challenges in social care, adding that the NHS and social care are inextricably linked, and having both working well together can help keep people well and reduce demand on health service. However, he warned diverting the money intended to help address the NHS backlog into social care would be robbing Peter to pay Paul. Exactly. He added, while increased funding for social care would help free up beds and relieve pressure on A&E and ambulance services, this does not save the health service money, and there would be consequences for patients waiting for hospital treatment and on staff morale. Rising inflation and government unwillingness to provide extra funding for recently announced staff pay increases have put even more pressure on already squeezed NHS budgets. They don't want to understand the problem because they don't want the NHS there. They want this to keep becoming a problem so they can go to an American style healthcare system where everyone's got to pay. It's just analysis from the Health Foundation shows that on top of existing funding plans, an additional $9 billion a year by 24-25 is required to meet the needs of an ageing population, improve access to care, and enable authorities to pay care providers to improve the quality of care and increase pay. Richard Murray, Chief Executive of the King's Fund, a health think tank, said that health and care levy was always designed to raise funds for both the NHS and social care, with the bulk of initial funding directed to the health service, later shifting towards the social care sector. Yeah, but it wasn't anywhere near enough. It's just chucking money. Where's the actual thought behind it? A sustained lack of funding has left England with a social care system that is failing many of the people who rely on it. Liz Truss's comments are a welcome recognition that the lack of social care and capacity has a knock-on impact on other health and care services, but it's hard to see how the NHS could have this funding removed without impacting the standards of care patients receive. The unfortunate reality for whoever takes over as Prime Minister is that robbing Peter to pay Paul is not a sustainable solution to the health and care crisis. I've already turned around and said that conservative capitalism is not sustainable. It's just not. Neoliberalism is not sustainable. Nigel Edwards, the chief executive of the Nuffield Trust, a health charity, said that the care social sector, why is it written that way? Social care sector was in a terrible state and required more funding. It's kind of stating the obvious there. However, he said funding for social care needs to come from a sustainable source of revenue. Getting it by suddenly cutting back the NHS is not the answer. No, see, if the social care, see, Elliot says how it's inextricably linked, but if the social care sector was under the NHS umbrella in the first place, if the social care sector was exactly what it's supposed to be, an extension of the NHS, then we wouldn't be having this problem. A senior NHS source from London Trust said it was the only financial proposal from Trust that isn't barking mad. But it is barking mad. Dizzy Lizzy is fucking ridiculous. Our healthcare is fucking shite. And you get people, this is what doesn't help. You get people saying that these idiots are not idiots, even though they're idiots. He added it would need to be modelled, but a properly resourced social care service could enable a faster adoption pace for virtual wards. Virtual wards! We don't need to cut down the NHS service. That's not what we need. What we need is the NHS service to be properly funded, to be properly utilised, to be properly regulated, and run more efficiently. You don't just. It's not about cutting everything down. In fact, most of the time, cutting down doesn't make things more efficient. And significant emission avoidance through proper re-enablement. I'm sorry. Look, one of the platforms for this needs to be education. I said this before. We need to set up, initiatives for medical education. We need to make this a higher priority. It would take time to build up a capacity in the care sector to deliver these benefits, but if properly faced, it might not have a dramatic impact upon elective recovery. It is shockingly bad. Just how bad the supposed report is. Oh my god! Look at another one. Liz Truss accused of a breathtaking hypocrisy as figures reveal her Whitehall spending splurges. I'm not surprised by that at all. We all know that she paid for public expenses for photographers to take pictures of her on a fucking tank. This is in the eye. Liz Truss this is Paul Woe in the eye, or Woe. Liz Truss has been accused of breathtaking hypocrisy after a new eye analysis found that 3 government departments she ran embarked on end-of-year spending splurges. The Tory leadership favourite co-authored a 2009 report that called for an end to Whitehall practice of rushing through spending ahead of the new financial year every April. The report, published by the Reform think tank and first highlighted by I in January, attacked the culture of irresponsible spending that led to civil servants to suddenly splash the cash in March rather than hand back to the Treasury any unspent budget allocation. budget processes see departments trying to use up unspent money at the financial year end to secure more for next year. The culture of using up unspent money at the financial year end is inconsistent with the principles of good financial management, the report said. And these people are supposed to be the ones who are monetarily competent, monetarily incompetent. Truss has also in recent weeks declared she was a naturally thrifty person and called for a war on Whitehall waste. Why didn't she get rid of herself? She's Whitehall waste. But her history as a cabinet minister shows her departments repeatedly racked up spending before the end of the financial year. Again, the Tories say one thing and do exactly what they say and say not to do. Because it's all, it's an age-old thing, but the rules for us do not apply for the Tories because they don't give a fuck about them. Analysis by the Eye found that across 5 financial years when she was in charge at the Department for Environment, DEFRA, and the Department for International Trade, DIT, and the Foreign Office, the FCDO, her department spent much more in March than the average for other months of the year. Okay, so the analysis covered up major items of expenditure. Over 25 grand shows average spending in the month of March standing at £421.44 million, over a third higher than the average spending of £280 million for every other month. Really? Foreign Office recorded its highest monthly spending in March 2022 with almost 1.3 billion spent compared to an average of 929 million in the first 11 months of the year. This is who the Tory nutcases want to be our Prime Minister. Trade Department spending totaled 29.68 million in the final month of 2021, more than double the average for the rest of the year, which is 14.75 million. It really is ridiculous. I know it's like, again, I know it's almost like stating the obvious, but what the fuck are people doing still fucking supporting these idiots? I almost get it if you're a fucking rich backer of these fucking morons, but if you're down at the other end of the scale, why? What benefit do these people bring you? Because there's none as far as I can see. In Truss's first year as Cabinet Minister, as Secretary of State for the Environment, Food and Rural Affairs in 2014, exactly the same pattern can be seen. The 438.71 million spent by DEFRA in March 2015 was its highest monthly total that year by a margin of £123 million and exceeded the monthly average by £209 million. To what? Like, they don't even pay attention to this money. And I'd love to know exactly what this money is being spent on. A further review of spending of more than £500 on department's electronics purchasing cards? What? Including her time at the Ministry of Justice, shows the average spending in March was £1.36 million, more than double the average of £661,861 for every other month. What's it going on? What is all this fucking money going on? Because if this money is being spent, what's it being spent on that benefits us, that we can see? Because there's no fucking evidence for it. Her single year as Justice Secretary, purchasing by card at the department hit its highest level in March 2017, £16,661, 78% above the average for the rest of 16 to 17. The FCDO, the Foreign Office, also spent £310,689 on home furnishings? You think it's bad enough that Boris, with his fucking flat, with his Downing Street flat scandal, home furnishings in March this year? So after everyone fucking had to go at Boris for fucking him and Carrie splurging out on golden fucking wallpaper, after that she goes at, oh my god, via government debit cards, over 3 times more than the monthly average for the rest of the year, 100 grand. I'll repeat what I've said in earlier videos. If you vote Tory, I denote you as a fucking moron, or completely fucking or completely malicious bastard. Labour's deputy leader Angela Rayner said, "Even by Liz Truss's double standards, it is breathtaking hypocrisy for her to go from department to department year after year and do the exact opposite of what she said cabinet ministers should do before she came on." Well, of course. Liz Truss may put on Margaret Thatcher's clothes and tell Tory audiences how thrifty she is with money, but the evidence is that it is all just an act. It was Dizzy Lizzie. She knows who she fucking is. She is a Prime Minister in waiting, just as addicted to duplicity as the man she is replacing. Yeah, but she's not as good at being smooth about it. She's not being good at being smooth at all. She doesn't know her way out of a fucking room with one door. A source for the Truss campaign said, under a Truss administration, accounting officers in departments would be expected to foster a culture of responsible spending. What kind of... Who believes this bullshit? If you do believe what these idiots are saying, please leave me a comment and tell me exactly why, including actual facts, why this is correct. Why you believe these idiots are correct? Because I don't get it. It is understood that Miss Truss believes that monthly spending is a matter for departmental accounting officers and ministers should not be reasonably be expected to police expenses and spending thousands of officials all around the globe. If you're the head of the department, you should fucking know this shit. Now, this is why I said, this is in another video, I think it was about how could we run the government more efficiently. This is why I said that that each department shouldn't just have one person in charge. Because you run into such inefficiencies such as this. If you had more than one person in charge of a department, you could have one person going out and dealing with the staff. You could have one person dealing with the payments, and you could have, say, another person dealing with the PR side of stuff. Like, is it that difficult to think of? It is understood that Ms. Truss believes that monthly spending is a matter for the and it just that's the end of the article. I how do people believe this crap? It's I'm I am flabbergasted at the hostility towards the people and people are just going, yeah, that's great for us. What the fuck? Education this time. I know this is from the eye again, but fuck it. Ainfo? Ainfo? It's from last night. As students across the country await their GCSE results, the Tories have been accused of leaving a legacy of unequal outcomes that are holding back children and communities. Pupils will receive their grades on Thursday after sitting exams for the first time since the pandemic. Similarly to the pattern with A-level results published last week, it's expected that grades will drop below last year but will remain above those from 2019. Now, I want to go back into the education system. I want to do college and university courses. Why haven't I gone into it yet? Because of this fucking problem. It's not because I can't be bothered, it's because I don't trust the system to actually give me a result that I trust, or an education that I can trust. I don't think that's actually unreasonable, you know? Labour has accused successive Tory governments of failing our children, pointing to regional disparities in results. Young people receiving results have worked incredibly hard, but 12 years of Conservative governments have left a legacy of unequal outcomes that are holding back kids and are holding back communities. Shadow Schools Minister Stephen Morgan's statistics showed that last year fewer than 4 in 10 students in Knowsley in the northwest achieved a pass in English and maths more than 20 percentage points lower than the national average. And we are supposed to be proud of our nation. Labour cited this as being in contrast to other areas including Trafford in Greater Manchester, Kingston upon Thames in southwest London and Buckinghamshire, where some 7 in 10 young people got a pass in both subjects. They don't care. Following the publication of A-level results last week, social mobility charity the Sutton Trust said regional gaps are growing and differences in levels of achievement at private schools compared with state schools and colleges are still above the 2019 levels. We need to do away with private fucking schools. I don't care what your fucking argument is now, it is unsustainable. It has no benefit, material benefit, for the society as a whole, only for the elites. This can be fucking proven over again now. As we head into results day, every child should know that they are supported by a government which believes in them and their abilities to succeed. But sadly, that's simply not the case. The Conservatives are failing our children. Labour is ambitious for every child. We will end tax breaks for private schools and invest in thousands of new teachers to give every child the brilliant and teaching and school experience they need to achieve and thrive. These supposed think tanks, what what they do? What do they do? They're supposed to help come up with policies that benefit us, but where are they? I'm not seeing things that the government in charge keeps saying, "Oh, we'll do better. We can do better than the Labour." But on almost every single regard, they've done worse than the last Labour government. Go and check it yourself, and you can and go and check it even on the government's own fucking website. Pardon me. One education expert has predicted that, in line with the move back towards pre-pandemic grading, there could be some 230,000 fewer top grades in the UK compared with 2021, but 230,000 more than 2019. It's just... Alan Smithers, University of Buckingham, Professor Alan Smithers, Director of the Centre of Education and Employment Research at the University of Buckingham, says he expects top grades to fall, with more pupils failing and a slight narrowing of the girls' lead over the boys. The Association of School and College Leaders, the ASCL, said this week's results are likely to be uneven across different schools and areas and reflect the turbulent circumstances of the pandemic. The ASCL General Secretary Jeff Barton appealed to schools watchdog Ofsted to bear these factors in mind and not rush to judgments. He said that despite schools' best effort to support pupils with remote education and plug learning gaps, there will inevitably have been an impact on learning. Because where was the initiatives? I off my old back when of YOL last year, I was able to start educating girls of around 12, 13 years old on how to speak some of the Germanic languages, to which they've never learned before. But because I made it, I put some incentive in. I made it exciting. I made it so they could feel that it would be possible for them to do. I gave them some incentive. They were fantastic at it. Claiming the government has a lacklustre and chaotic support for education recovery, he added, "It is important to understand this year's results at school and pupil level in this context, and we would urge Ofsted and regional school commissioners to, in particular, not to rush to judgments." Ofsted said it does not base its judgment on exam results and test scores, but rather uses data in context as a starting point for our discussions with school leaders about what they are teaching their children and how they are running their schools. Well, it's obviously not fucking, doing great right now. A spokeswoman for the Department for Education said, "We have set out a range of measures to help education across England, including targeted support for both individual pupils who fall behind and the whole areas of the country where standards are weakest. This is alongside $5 billion to help young people recover from the impact of the pandemic, including $1.5 billion for tutor programs," which, the media, the mogul that Boris Johnson got in to try and sort the problem out with education said wasn't fucking enough. By a fair bit. Pupil premium funding is also increasing to more than $2.6 billion in 2023, whilst an additional $1 billion is allowing us to extend the recovery premium for the next 2 academic years. Funding which schools can use to offer targeted academic and emotional support to disadvantaged pupils. Last year, the proportion of GCSE entries was awarded top grades surged to an all-time high after exams were cancelled for the second year in a row due to COVID-19 SARS-CoV-2, and students were given instead results determined by their teachers. Really dodgy. Whilst traditional A star to G grades were not used in Northern Ireland and Wales, in England these have been replaced with a 9-to-1 system where 9 is the highest. A 4 is broadly equivalent to a C grade, and a 7 is broadly equivalent to an A. They didn't need to change the system. They actually did not. It seems that everything that the government has done has been is literally absolutely redundant or demonstrably bad for our country. And yet again, you get people going, oh, no, they do care about us. I'm voting for them. Why? Oh, because I don't know what Keir Starmer's about. Well, because we're not in a general election yet. You complain about what is Keir Starmer going to do. He's not in fucking charge. Don't be stupid. He can say what he could do, but can he lay down absolute detailed plans like the government can? No, because I tell you what, he doesn't have the fucking the same information, the exact same information the government have. And you get the government, the two Tory leadership contestants arguing over whether the tax plans are really truly Thatcherite or not. It's just fucking stupid. Oh, it's just... Oh. Liz Truss accused of having little understanding of legal aid, while Justice Secretary Liz Truss says no need for ethics advisor because she knows the difference between right and wrong. Johnson said he knew that, and we all knew that was fucking bullshit. Oh dear. I can't believe I'm doing this. Evening Standard. Nicholas Cecil. Sorry. Nicholas Cecil and Josh Salisbury. Boris Johnson says Britons must accept higher energy bills as Ukrainians are paying in blood. One of the reasons we in this country are having extra problems is because of fucking Brexit. Therefore you can't equate it to what the fucking Ukrainians are going through, you fucking arrogant bastard. Boris Johnson has called on Britons to bear the pain of higher gas bills as Ukrainians are paying in blood on his surprise Kyiv visit. Making his last trip to Ukraine before leaving office, Mr. Johnson pledged a further 54 million in military aid package, including unmanned surveillance and missile systems. You know what's really funny? He can do this. What was he turned around and said when he first came back from his first holiday? Oh, the government, we can't do anything because I'm leaving everything for when the next government takes over. I can't do anything to help people. I can't make I can't send and end that any more money. Well, obviously it's fucking bullshit. He said, if we're paying in our energy bills for the evils of Vladimir Putin, the people of Ukraine are paying in their blood. But we're not just paying our energy bills for the evils of Vladimir Putin, you stupid moron. He is actually equating our struggles with our energy bills with Ukrainians losing their homes, their land, their waters and their lives. And people still love this dickhead. What is wrong with you? His meeting with President Volodymyr Zelensky came up on Ukraine's Independence Day, marking 31 years since breaking from Moscow's rule following the collapse of the Soviet Union. Mr. Johnson said that the Russian President, Mr. Putin, had gone insane to launch the invasion, and the resistance had been like an indomitable Ukrainian boxer. He's lapping it up. He really is. The BBC reported that Mr Johnson also warned that British households will have to endure the cost of living crisis in order to counter Russia's inevitable manipulation of energy prices. It's not just down to fucking Russia. I hate him. I hate them. And as I said, what makes it worse is people are believing this asshole and they love him. I do actually feel sorry for Volodymyr Zelensky because of the visible help that he's shown Zelensky, despite all the millions he's taken off of the Russians, and he's probably still taking off the Russians. Like, he genuinely believes he has an ally in Boris. I don't not back Volodymyr Zelensky. Good on you, son. Keep fighting on. But, you know, I reckon Starman would be just as good a fucking ally. Even if not better ally. But this asshole saying that we need to equate ourselves with the Ukrainians on this, it's so fucking insulting. And then he carries on. That's why we must know to stay the course. That's why we know we must stay the course. Because if Putin were to succeed, then no country on Russia's perimeter would be safe, and that would be a green light to every autocrat in the world that borders could be changed by force. Everyone still knows that, but part of the big problem is Brexit. One of they're saying that Russia's one of the biggest problems, but look at how much money these Western fucking energy producers are actually taking in. Billions! And is it coming this way? No. Are the government willing to take money, take all that profit out? No. Because they're still willing to go along with the bullshit lie of, oh, we'll put it towards investment. Yeah, we'll invest in the energy sector. We'll make it better so this won't happen again, like they did last time. A similar energy crisis happened. It's fucking stupid. Later Wednesday, Russian missiles struck a passenger train at a station in eastern Ukraine, killing at least 15 people and wounding 50 more, said Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky. In a video address to United Nations Security Council, Mr. Zelensky said the rockets had hit the service in Chapelin, in a town of about 3,500 people, some 90 west of Donetsk. Mr. Johnson received the Order of Liberty during his visit, Ukraine's highest award that can be bestowed upon foreign nationals in recognition of Britain's strong support for its freedom. I find it's really difficult, because you can say, yeah, it's great that he put out the support for Ukraine, but how much of it is actually genuine from Boris Johnson? Don't get me wrong. I bet he's proud to have to receive this Order of Liberty. I bet that as of right now, most Ukrainians are looking at Johnson and Johnson's government as a godsend. But Political X does a really good job of showing just how much money Boris and his government have taken from Russia. And I think Zelensky, in his desperate position, needs allies and needs to show confidence, and he needs to show What he really doesn't want to show is that he mistrusts his allies. So I get that, but it just it doesn't make me feel good. Prime Minister urged the West to show strengthened solidarity in its support for Ukraine, with British military intelligence chiefs expecting the war to go on into at least next year. Mr. Johnson stressed, for the past 6 months, the United Kingdom has stood shoulder to shoulder with Ukraine, supporting this sovereign country to defend itself from this barbaric and illegal invader. Today's package of support will give the brave and resilient Ukrainian armed forces another boost in capability, allowing them to continue to push back Russian forces and fight for their freedom. I agree with that, but I'm sorry, the connection between Boris and the Russians is just too dodgy for me to ignore. What happens in Ukraine matters to us all, which is why I'm here today to deliver the message that the United Kingdom is with you and will be with you for the days and months ahead, and you can and will win. Britain has committed more than 2.3 billion of military and financial aid to Ukraine since the invasion began on February the 24th. It is also preparing to give mine hunting vehicles to Ukraine to detect Russian mines in the waters off its coast. Ukrainian personnel will be trained in how to use them in UK waters in the coming weeks as a part of an expanded programme of training for the country's forces. Again, I'm not saying that help isn't legitimate. I'm just worried about how legitimate Boris Johnson is. Boris Johnson became the first leader of a G7 country, US, UK, Germany, France, Italy, Canada and Japan, to visit Kyiv since Mr. Putin's invasion, where he went under tight security and a veil of secrecy in April. He returned on a second trip in June, so this will be the third time he's been. Prime Minister will leave office in September the 6th, day after either Foreign Secretary, what's going to be Dizzy Lizzy, or Sunak doesn't have a chance, emerges as the winner in the Tory leadership contest. Mr. Johnson has formed a close bond with Zelensky, and his latest visit appears intended to demonstrate that the links between the two countries will continue once he has left number 10. Ukraine's president praised Mr. Johnson during his visit, saying he was a great friend of Ukraine. I feel dodgy. I don't trust it. You know, this is a guy who doesn't understand. He's good at the PR stuff and showing support, but when it comes down to the nitty-gritty stuff, it's a bit difficult to say that he is legitimate. It really is. I'm just... Here we go. Liz Truss's £235 million cut to Environment Agency doubled sewage discharge. This is what I was talking about earlier. The person that the Tory members want in charge is one of the reasons for the complete mess that we have now. So what, do they suddenly expect that she's going to fix half of what is actually her own problem? The problem she caused? Liz Truss presided over cuts to Environment Agency funding, which doubled the sewage discharge has been claimed. According to Labour Party analysis, raw sewage and discharge has more than doubled since 2016, when the Tory leadership hopeful was Environment Secretary. This rose from 1.7 per overflow 6 years ago to 29.3 in 2001, according to the analysis of official figures. This increase coincided with Ms. Truss cutting 18 million from sewage monitors as part of a 235 million Tory axe to the EA's budget, which she branded as efficiency savings. You don't make efficiency savings by cutting the fucking department, you asshole. Again, this is who people want. This is who the Tory idiots want to be Prime Minister. They actually believe this moron. How the fuck she is going to sway people that are on the fence, I don't know. Because everything she's coming out with is bullshit, and is just showing that she should be anywhere near a seat of authority. I'm going to end this around now, because I've gone on long enough. But we cannot trust these people. They don't believe in social equality at all. And I'm not going to apologise for calling everyone who voted for the Conservatives in the last election a fucking moron. I'm not going to apologise. Why should I? You people put the rest of us in a shite position and put yourselves in a shite position. Well done, dickheads. I will not apologise. Education, the water, the aspect of policing and crime getting worse. The railway system, the energy system, the postal system, the health system, the social care system, all going to shit, all gotten worse ever since the Tories have been in power. And every time they come around and say, "Oh, we've got new policies to make things better," it fucking doesn't. And everyone still goes along. Well, most people still go along and go, "Oh, we believe and fucking sheeple." It is a complete and total mess, and it's like the voting public don't want to admit that they were wrong. They're refusing to admit that they were wrong. Again, this comes from a monotheistic cultural point of view. I am right. I am right because my people have always believed we are the ones who are correct. We are the ones who are right. Doesn't matter what the facts say. We believe we are right, so therefore we are right. Because we believe we are right. That's where monotheistic absolutism leads you. This is a miserable state of affairs, and it is going to get worse. And right now, I don't see a relatively quick route to get out of this mess. When people are refusing to listen because they cannot be fucking bothered. We're going to lose our NHS. We're losing it now. You think the NHS waiting times are bad now? Imagine what it'll be like under a fucking American system, because you fucking idiots who all voted Tory and continue to vote Tory have finally gotten what they wanted and away with the fucking NHS. You think it'll be better then, do you? You really do? Majority of people in this country will die off because of it. Will likely die off because of it, I should say. To be non-absolutist. It is a very high chance. The people are already struggling under a struggling system that ought to be that was working well over 12 years ago. All it needed was to be improved upon. Now it needs a complete fucking reworking. After Labour left, all the NHS needed was improvement. After 12 years of Tory conservative, of Tory capitalism, the NHS and the social care system needs a root and fucking branch refitting and renewing, revamping. This is ridiculous. Stop being stupid, people. I know it's a bit of a rant, but you know there are several things I've come up with in how to solve these issues, and it's not just a case of not voting Tory. That I've said before, pagans have certain policy areas. Pagans do have a legitimate point to talk about, to have a word and a say in how these things are done, like in the water systems. To treat our waters with respect, like land ownership, and what is done with the land by the state and by private businesses. The energy sector, we could actually, because of our love for the elements, to draw our energy off of those elements instead of, mining into the ground and damaging our world and continue to damage our world. We as pagans can, why don't we get in, more those that are fit and able? We could go into, want jobs, go into building that part of the energy sector. Those that are politically minded try getting into power so that we can change how our energy sector, change the foundation of our energy sector, make it more efficient. Education, food, on a religion and religious and culture on cultural level. Is it the religion and the equalities minister, whatever the fuck it is, the culture minister, whatever it is, Again, one of the biggest things I think is to not just have one person in charge of a department. That's where I think one of the biggest changes could come in terms of policy. This would need to be talked about with other people, but I don't hear anyone else coming up with these ideas. I don't hear it being that these ideas were used in our government before. How about we fucking try it instead of going round and round doing the same fucking thing over and over again, expecting different results? I'll end with what I've been saying a bunch of times throughout this hour-long video. Why are people continuing to believe these fucking assholes? Why? I don't understand why why people are continuing to believe people who do not benefit them. I get rich people voting for them, but when it's people who don't earn a lot, because of the Tory policies and don't have a great life because of Tory policies, and yet still vote for Tories because they somehow believe that their Tories are going to make their life better. Why? Why? Why do you believe these people? And I ask them, and they give me an ideological answer. That's no answer. So what, you believe the lies because you think that they'll change in the end, do you? Yeah, basically, is the answer. Well, you are a fucking idiot. Well done. Yes, I'm being condescending. No, I'm not going to apologise for that either. Why? Because a lot of the hard Brexiteers are still refusing, and the right wingers are still refusing to apologise for the damage they've done to not just the country in economic sense, but to the country in a social sense, in a cultural sense. So I'm fighting back. Let's see if anyone else will. This has been my Dork Viska, my dark wisdom from Shadivita. I hope people will start waking up, because this stupidity needs to stop. Have a good evening, people.